Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rahul Chaudhary, military intelligence analyst in Global Eye Intelligence. Today, I got the opportunity to host this session, and our guest for this session is Lieutenant General Devendra Pratap Pandey, Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, Vishisht Seva Medal. General Pandey is alumnus of NDA Khadakwasla, Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, and was commissioned in 9th Battalion, the Sikh Light Infantry, on 14 December 1985. He also attended Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, and National Defense University in Washington, D.C. The key highlights of his illustrious career were: he commanded his battalion 9 Sikh Light in Siachen Glacier, Director Foreign Division and Military Intelligence Directorate, commanded a RR sector in J&K, BGS Ops at Headquarters Western Command Chandi Mandir, BGS Chetak Corps, General Officer Commanding of Kilo Force RR in J&K, Additional Director General Public Information, First Director General of Territorial Army, General Officer Commanding of most prestigious and most active 15 Corps in Srinagar, J&K, and his last appointment was Commandant of Army War College, Mau. The institution is Indian Army's think tank and pivotal in training senior officers of Indian Army. And thereafter, he hanged his boots on 30th of June. Yes, sir. And thereafter, he hanged his boots on 30th of June 2024 after such an illustrious and battle-hardened career. Recently, a book has been published on his life and leadership by the title Soldiering with Passion, authored by Colonel Ajay Raina, Sena Med. Before introduction of the topic, I like to clarify I intentionally didn't use retired because he just re-attired, because he is leading his life same way, just attired has been changed. We are all here to talk on the topic corporatization of intelligence. The stage is over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ravi. Nice to see you. And Ravi, I forgot to tell you that this book yesterday I had gone for the launch in at Delhi University. I think they Litfest. They called me for the book launch. It is available on Amazon. It will be very interesting if you read that book. What has happened is that while number of people wanted me to write because I have served 7 tenures in Valley, commanded Glacier, 2 tenures with Chinese. So they all wanted me to write something about my autobiography and all. There were 7, 8 publishers. I kept on refusing. This guy, Ajay Rana, he's written 28 books already. He came to my home and he was pestering me. And he said, sir, आपको लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है because youth follows so much. But if you don't write, they're going to miss. तो मैं कहा भाई ठीक है, तुम्हें अगर लिखना है, then you kindly ask people who have been with me and you write. He jumped on that idea. And within 2 months, he has produced his book. I have read this book last week, just before it was released myself, because I don't have ownership. I have not taken any money for it, no royalty. It has come out very nice, Ravi. It will be good that at least if you read and give me your comments on it, it'll be a great honor.
And firstly, sir, congratulations. I think it's befitting. And yeah, I look forward to it. It's the first time I'm hearing about it, but I look forward to procuring it and going through it, sir.
Yeah.
It'll be a pleasure.
So, here it is.
Oh, right, sir. Amazon, sir.
Yeah, Amazon. Soldiering with Passion. You just type. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
You just type my name. I think it should come. Or Soldiering with Passion is good.
Right. I will do, sir.
Yeah. So actually, what happened is, firstly, compliments to Global Eye Intelligence on this inaugural session and event. When Rahul Chaudhary asked me, sir, we'd like you to speak. Actually, the inspiration of the talk came out from from the name of the platform itself, which is called Global Eye Intelligence. It was always in my mind that I was in foreign division, but more importantly, I think most of the places where I was deployed in Valley and opposite Eastern Ladakh, and then when I was in US, intelligence was very close to my heart. And more often than not, when I was looking at it, I realized that's an extremely specialized subject. And as I grew in service, and I have seen an implosion of technology, it is not reforms in technology. Actually, technology is changing, evolving by leaps and bounds, exponential change in technology and its intrusion into our lives. When these platforms were changing, and I realized that the governments people who serve the nation, so-called servants of the nation, can never ever keep pace. Because when you train a person on a particular piece of technology, this technology and environment today gets old very rapidly. And therefore, there is a requirement of actually reaching out to the outside world to outsource or engage with the world outside for gaining intelligence. So actually, when I was offered a very mundane and routine subject, which I thought will be run of the mill, I reached out to Rahul and I said, let's talk about corporatization of intelligence. And I had this point in mind, possibly I'll write about it. But in case in Bharat, if you have to really emerge as a true leader in the world of in the community of the world, if you're not going to cross this Rubicon in terms of corporatization or outsourcing, which is the norm in the first world, in the modern world, it is already corporatized. And I'll come up with these examples and why this thing. So they were quite, I'm sure they were very confused. And this thing, I have been called to a very premier institute of intelligence gathering. When I told them, they said, "Sir, हमें तो समझ ही नहीं आएगा, आप उसको छोड़ दीजिए, आप कुछ और बात कर लीजिए." So that's a level of thought. It's a premier, it's the number one institution of the world of our country, and I've been offered to give a talk on this subject on intelligence. So I've given a different topic, but I thought I'll discuss this here with you, listening on this thing. Well, the character of politics, over a period of time has been changing. The nature has remained same. And I hope we all understand that intelligence or leading the nation, controlling the world, or controlling the world order is all about resources, 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 right? And the biggest consumers and the producers, the sellers of the resources are actually in today's world. In last about 4 to 5 decades are the corporate giants. And they got a spread all over the world. In fact, when people start looking at last 2 centuries and particularly the last 8 or 9 decades, they feel that the democratic thought has been driving the free world. It is actually a perception. Everybody believes that freedom of political franchise, the free enterprise, where the will of the people decides the form of the governments and governance, and by extension of policies, is actually fragile thought. Right? I will not go into dealing with the subject, but be it autocracy, dictatorship, democracy-driven communism, socialism, or capitalism, there is a money in which the governments are formed, and they are required for. Sorry. Uh, so, the money is required for governance. And these big corporate giants are the ones who control the levers of the world in every corner. Buying popular leaders or creating one, bringing down governments or instigating revolutions. The money is being chased, and behind these money are the corporates. Why I'll say? So democracy has been fed as a great form of establishing government, but I actually don't believe in it. The recent elections in the US and the polarization of the corporate giants and the people who control basically the social media. The Facebook boss was onto one side, Elon Musk controlling the Twitter was onto the other side. There is some merit when these corporate giants fall in line or they pursue politics in big way. So historically, if you actually look at it, in so many years, the businesses are the ones who have always controlled us. For politicians and corporates to survive, intelligence is paramount. And actually, the moment you start listening that in Aksai Chin, there are resources, the materials which are going to come up, which are very, very valuable and very rare earth material. The Chinese, when they come to know from the Russians, they start occupying and taking over the area of Aksai Chin. Whereas India was still wondering what is happening if this entire change was happening in front of them. We learned it off only by 1956. But you imagine it was resources which made the looking after the intelligence part in that geographical intelligence which is required to tell a country to occupy a real state, which we cannot get back today. I don't know what will happen, but we are quite sure that we are not going to get the same. Look at the recent revelation of the new US government of the application of enormous funding by aid. Actually, aid is being funded by the deep state. When you look at the line of deep states, they are all controlled by the corporates. What is happening in Ukraine? The devastation which is happening is again control of resources. So virtually while the democracies, the free world are siding with one or other, but the fact is, the war is of the resources which reside in Ukraine. The war is for the resources which transit through various sea links in terms of gas, or in case of LNG and what do you call petrol and gas and other stuff. You look at Soros when he introduces this reports just before important elections, and he targets Adani. It's all part of an intelligence gameplay, right? It is being controlled. Look at the leverage. I'm not talking the tactical intelligence level, but at the level of grand strategy. That is how intelligence, they had some degree of information. It was kept onto a file, loaded, and was just taken out and put it out. Can a government agency get such information? Work, have the specialization to work on to the stock market to find out where the gaps are, who's buying, who's selling, who's short selling? I don't think so. Today's world is of extreme specialization in all verticals, which affect other verticals at many a time, and therefore this challenge. I will get into the next part, which is technology. With technology disruptions and interventions, this thing, intelligence and counterintelligence and their human resources are getting more challenging. And if you're a government servant, each and every action of yours is always under scrutiny, right? That there's a issue. And as I was explaining earlier, that by the time I train a person in a particular piece of technology to get into the social media, to hack, to listen, to gain intelligence, information, or to defend our systems for counterintelligence, you realize that this gentleman who's been trained for 1 to 2 years or 3 years somewhere in abroad, when he comes, this technology is already irrelevant, right? Something else has moved on. The people who are rapidly moving by using technology are actually the non-state actors. They may be the corporates or they may be our terrorist organizations. They are very, very swift because they don't live under legislations. We feel that the democratic countries are living under legislations, but the fact of the matter is, I hope we are watching, truly they are not living under legislation. They are using private world and the corporate worlds to further their respective state department or the government agendas in world over. So their intelligence levels are much more faster and better. I'll just give a couple of examples. The intelligence organs are more or less privatized, corporatized in the modern world. They collect, collate, analyze, even manipulate and fabricate, and then disseminate, right? These are actually inter alia deep state driven systems. They are very efficient. They are always ahead of loop. Creating intelligence or manufacturing intelligence are truly a real world leader. If you have to be powerful, you need to be able to do all this in any ways. I'm sure everybody has heard of publications like Stratford, Janes. These were not mere compilations of world intellectuals' comments or articles and papers on this thing. These are primed to pursue a particular agenda. And intelligence is always not about only collection of information and thereafter compiling, analyzing, and dissemination. It is also part of your shaping of mind. So when you look at it, the larger these think tanks which are operating in UK, France, USA, and the Chinese have understood this game, and they are big into corporatizing their own systems while they are controlling by the communication systems to protect their own people from losing out information or intelligence. But they are also using other countries' corporate giants or people in order to get intelligence. So now you look at this. Elon Musk. How can he shape information, world opinion? 218 million followers of Elon Musk today. On Twitter, billions of people are going on. So if I want to actually find out the trend, what people want to listen, watch, hear, actually you require some degree of specialization. And if you give tasks to Twitter, that in India, how many people are watching what is happening in Kumbh and what are their orientations? Who is leftist, who is rightist, who is following the religion? And therefore, if I want to change their mind or I want to use psyops operations, writing on the Twitter system only, how to go about it, this can be done by using artificial intelligence, using technology, using high-end data analytics, which can be put out. Can any government agency do it? Me and Ravi Murugan possibly have stayed in this organization. I can assure you, none of our government agencies can carry out this task. But yes, if you ask somebody else, maybe we ask young youth hacks to do it, they will be able to produce results for us. You want to understand what is happening on Instagram, what people are watching in YouTube. Nearly about 60 to 70% of our country is on one social media platform or other, right? It is only the poorest of poor who are actually truly not onto internet. They may be on digital media, but they are not. So therefore, what has happened is that this whole technology, the social media landscape is changing the way we look at intelligence. On the other side, I just explained to you about the public system, which are laggard, lazy, slow. The system of data collection, collation, analyzing, and dissemination at times takes ages, right? And you get some people who get posted for 2 years, 3 years. By the time he understands the system, he gets either promoted or he moves on to a different branch. Whereas here you require somebody who's expert in the field and not expert only in intelligence gathering in manner of one way. You require pool of experts. So if you're looking at Aksai Chin or the three dam project and you want to gather intelligence, you require somebody who can study the satellites, somebody who can understand the geography, somebody who can understand the terrain, somebody who can have history, somebody who can understand hydrography. All these things will be combined to gather an intelligence which will shape the mind. How does a diplomacy needs to reach out to the Chinese to disengage on this matter of this thing? So I'm talking of intelligence not only at the level of tactical but also at the grand strategy level. Then you come out, okay, I'll very quickly go on to a very simple this thing. Everybody who's watching knows about intelligence. There are 5 broad steps of intelligence gathering, right? Or intelligence cycle. You identify intelligence requirement, that is in problem. Then you have a planning and direction. That means basically collection, just prior to collection, how you're going to collect. You collect, thereafter you carry out process and analyzing the data, and thereafter you go for dissemination. In the end, there's a whole system of a feedback loop which is required. Intelligence cycle is very circular in the process. In the contemporary world where the disruptive technologies have come, where does information reside? Today, 70, 80 years back, information was all in the mind, on the paper. It moved on a back of envelope from one person to person, maybe talking on telephone by leaving code words, and there were differences. So while human intelligence gathering will always remain as a form, but today large data of information, 99% of information rides on communication. Who controls communication? Elon Musk controls information because his Starlink is controlling all operations in Ukraine. So if I want to know what is happening in NATO countries and in Ukraine, I need to connect with corporate world in terms of Starlink to understand what is moving. So while you may be able to plug and play, you may have coding systems and decoding systems which come out this thing, but they are also manufactured by people who are from the corporate world. It is not manufactured by people who are in the public world. So therefore, when your entire communication is residing, information or intelligence residing on communication network, and that communication network is being controlled by big giants. Therefore, your corporatization of intelligence carrier system is already there, right? Even in India. Now you look at India. In India, you got variety of private firms. With now Ambani jumping in, the Reliance system coming up, BSNL itself getting corporatized, you find that the corporatization of the system on which all information of Indian military resides. I'm not talking of the rest of the economic intelligence. I'm not talking of diplomatic intelligence. Now let's come to military intelligence. Everything resides on it. So when are we moving from one place, when we are passing orders for forces to deploy or mobilize, everything is moving on to a communication link, which may be controlled to a degree by the military itself. But there are places where the spectrums can be monitored and taken out. The moment you pass a logistics plan, when it's picked up, gives the direction where the force is going, for how many days it is going, what is the force orientation, how it is going to operate, and where it is going to operate, and for what purposes can be operated. Everything moves on communication net. Therefore, firstly, to gain intelligence from this, you require a specialist. To protect this intelligence from going out to somebody else, also you require specialist. My question comes back. Do you think that people in uniform can do it efficiently, or there are enough hacks outside in the world to achieve it for the rest of the people? So that is one part. Now, when you look at the issue, in fact, even when you have to derive intelligence problem is also becoming such a wonderful, complex facet in which when people like the modern states, when the President Trump has to sit, he doesn't only call FBI or CIA to talk. He gets people from the academia to speak, to tell him what is happening. You require the cultural, you require history, you require geography, you require if you're dealing with the space system, you require people who are handling into the space scientists, you require scientists of variety of types. All those people who are specialized, can a government work on all these things in which the budget is at premium, resources are at premium, everything is audited? So maybe there is a case in point to start looking at engaging with people to also to help you out to derive an intelligence problem, that should India invest time in African countries or in South Asian countries, or invest time elsewhere. So, you are in the larger context, I'm talking of this aspect. So this is where your intelligence requirement comes. Analysis, you may get large data of information. This data of information requires now artificial intelligence to carry out data analytics. We all who are sitting in uniform or who are so-called government servants, their capacity to understand this is very limited. It is best that you look at the specialists, maybe from Tata Consulting Service, young boys like Rahul Chaudhary or Nilesh, whom I can observe here. They are the people whose mind is agile, the Gen Z will love to work for 5 years and thereafter taking experience go elsewhere. Because in 5 years, what Rahul Chaudhary and Nilesh can obtain and provide will start becoming redundant. That is the fast pace of evolution of technology. They can't remain relevant because the new chap who's a geeky guy, who's got long hairs, who's pot belly, who's a smoking guy, who can be hired, fired, right? Who will love to do to hack are the people who will possibly enable, empower you far more better than getting people who are disciplined, who are into drill, who can do savdhan, attention, and such like things. Because intelligence is very, very polar opposite to a military like where discipline is involved. Intelligence involves discipline of collection of information or intelligence. But it surely doesn't require the discipline which is followed in our uniformed community, or even in a structured organization which is part of an organogram of the government of India. Right? This can be done by people who are brutal about it, and the corporates are very, very brutal to get intelligence and information. Look at social media, and okay, I'll very, very quickly give some examples. The primary source today for collection of information besides the communication system is satellites. There are 8,000 satellites today in the world, nearly 8,000. 3,500 are controlled by SpaceX. When Galwan happened, when we didn't have resources, the commercial, the journalists in the international who were working on the Twitter and social media on Telegram, they were buying it for a couple of $100, the satellite images. And when we were telling in the Indian army that the Chinese will only come till here, they will produce those films and put it out to you by day, what the changes are taking place. In fact, majority of information which has not come to us through the government control agencies. They have come from commercial satellites, which are much more far precise. They are timely, they are regular, they are able to analyze and give you the pictures, where the roads have come, where the camps have come, where we are, where the Chinese are, how many times they have come. Look at the whole system of satellite. Can we as a country, as a democratic poor country, keep on launching satellites to get information? So Russians, the Americans, right, and the Chinese, they are the only ones who are ruling the roost in terms of the rest of the satellites. But the fact of the matter is that while American Air Force and the Navy have launched satellites, they are not for interconnection. They are only for communication basis. They collect the information and intelligence through the corporate world by asking this. They're smart guys. They're asking the SpaceX guys or others to provide this information. Next is, where does the social media, the best form, if I'm looking at non-state actors, if I'm looking at who, I was a corps commander in 15 Corps, how I started finding that who's the boy who's now very nearly to join a terrorist group. Analyzing of the WhatsApp data. Get 10 numbers in a village, and through careful monitoring, you will get 1,000. And you will come to know the link of the people, and you'll start understanding what kind of a content this boy is reading. And therefore, we were able to reach out through police or directly to that young boy that, sweetheart, you are now going to become a terrorist. Is it an efficient system where a man in uniform is working? It's a very laggard system. It is an interest-driven system. But now you look at it, when you use technology solutions by specialists who come out and they work the social media system, they can actually harness data, they can farm data, and thereafter they can actually produce results to tell you that not only this boy is going to become a terrorist, but these are the people who are feeding him information to become a terrorist. So therefore, you can use technological solutions to counter it and also to get information on about these people and also to get enough legal material to prosecute and go for a legal solution for against those people. So I'm not looking only at CICT. The same thing is applicable on military intelligence. You imagine those nearly 2 blocks of the Russian soldiers who had fought very hard. They were into the field. They came back for a brief time to take a break. They were all sitting, they switched on their mobiles, they went on to social media, and boom, missiles came hitting. This gap between the opening of the radio, their mobile sets, the message reaching to the target, to the weapon platform, thereafter targeting, do you think this can be done by military forces with the pace in which it is happening, the transitions happening? I've been part of the forces for about 35, 40, 4 decades, 4.5 decades. I can assure you it is not possible. You require people who are civilians. You require people who are private in the private world. You require agencies and organizations who are equipped to handle all these things. And thereafter, carry out this aspect. I will not get into the rest of the cycle part, but I'll quickly start winding up by telling you a couple of examples. Okay, cyber hacking in defense. It's a very important part of intelligence protection or intelligence collection. Can we have enough numbers? Who can do this better? These questions, these answers can be given by you by merely thinking of it. I don't have to keep on giving example. I will just talk of a couple of think tanks. Like the US, they got the Center of Strategic and International Studies. Their leadership leans on these think tanks very heavily to advise them where to go. because these people harness open source intelligence or information, and they carry out trend analysis, and they carry out the entire cycle of int cycle within the think tanks to give solutions to the policymakers. Uh, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the Brookings Institution, the Rand Corporation, the New American, that is why US is number one. And we will continue to be rising India till the time we are going to be investing time into our people only in the government. The moment you open into the private world, the corporate world, you'll find that we are jumping, going ahead. Okay. Another one, I'll just talk of. There's an organization called Palantir Technology, which is a US-based company. I'll just very, very quickly talk of what they say in their website. Empowers intelligence agencies to securely derive actionable insights from sensitive data and achieve their most challenging operational objectives. It's on the website, in your face. It is a corporate giant. It is operating also in India, right? It is operating the world over. How do they do it? We have to understand. This is what they say. The last they say is that governments around the world use, I'm sorry, use Palantir, Gotham and Palantir Foundry to understand and defend against evolving threats to national security, from cyber attacks to dissemination to insurgencies. So what I'm trying to say is that we need technology, a technology which is changing very, very fast and furious, to not only manage to to harness information, to farm information, to gain information, and thereafter this huge mass of data through AI, through quantum analysis, quantum data analysis, we need to also understand what it is giving in time, and therefore also use technology to disseminate in time, in a very, very flat environment, the information which is required by the concerned agency. Today, the system of hierarchical passage of information, by the time information reaches the sensor end or the shooter end, it is always irrelevant. We are always smart in hindsight, right? So therefore, we need to work on these things, and all this stuff is only possible when you start corporatization. You are using private world to enable you, to empower you. I've got enough to talk about, but I will rest it so that I can take more question answers. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for the talk. Sir, my first question is, how can the potential conflicts of interest between the state-run agencies and the private intelligence firms be effectively managed?
So, either you can be North Korea, or you can be Russia, or you can be China, right? Even in their system, there are enough people leaking out intelligence, right? Where they can be, their families can disappear, yet the corporate giants like Palantir and all are able to get information or intelligence out from them. In our world, we in any case are losing enough information, right? So to believe that, and frankly, the idea is that either you want to get information, intelligence, or you're going to looking at conflict of interest. So the conflict of interest can be managed by legal frameworks, by statutes, by signing of documents which ensure that people don't leak out, and thereafter follow it. Let's say somebody goes rogue. People have been going rogue even in the American world also. But the fact of the matter is, in this gray environment, you have to look at it that you are going to operate blind and then come out to be smart. We should have known what the Chinese was doing. If we had possibly plugged into some degree of commercial satellites and a corporatized system of getting information, right? So if we had not got information, we could have at least told them that you have not given this information, but we were surprised. Look at Kargil misadventure. If there was certain, and I can assure you that even the corporates who are invested all over the world, they come to know कहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम होने वाली है. When the money starts flying out from a country or from an area, you will come to know there's a trouble which is brewing, or the change of the government is going to take place, or something is going to happen. Right? So there will always be conflict of interest. We will have to have legal frameworks which can be always managed.
Oh, thank you, sir. Sir, now we have one question from Nilesh. I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
I took
Nilesh,
name of
please speak.
Rahul and Nilesh. They are surely going to ask questions, huh? Give me.
Hello, sir. Jai Hind, sir. First of all, good afternoon, sir. My question is regarding cyber threats. So, cyber hacking. And which type of cyber threats faced by armed forces in the valley? I mean, during in your service experience, I mean, which type of cyber threats you faced uh, in your service? I mean, do you have any examples, please?
Yeah, of course, we are all facing in your own personal data. Like I was doing my course in US, so that is the time the emails had just come about, right? And then by the time I came back to India, I realized that my email has been hacked by the Chinese, right? So when you worked out, you knew that the material or system which is coming out is going out somewhere. So that time I was not very smart. I am a tech blind guy. But then the people who were in the military, they were able to help me out to find out that this is so. I shut down that thing. In fact, today also, now when I have transitioned, this third email ID has come about. But I know it is exposed, right? Similarly, our soldiers, they become a very, very soldiers, officers who just simply plug a mobile or a thumb drive in today's environment. And it ensures that the data which is residing in the system goes out very, very quickly. So there are very advanced systems which are available for planting, getting out information from your cyber environment. How much ever we may plug, how much ever we may have standalone, but eventually please understand that technology will always be available to breach that system. So this game of breach, protect, beach, protect, hack, protect will continue to go on, right? And it's a very, very huge skill requirement, because if in army you must be having about maybe couple of lakh computer systems, or peripherals. Each one of them is prone for hacking. So therefore, there is always a challenge, and there have been number of court martials which have happened. Their computers have been hacked. There are inquiries on, which is always in the media. You must be listening that so and so officer or so and so soldier has been caught, or he switched on his this thing. He was careless, and thereafter his system has been hacked and taken off. In fact, today we may not like to agree, but number of your RPs are flying, aircrafts are flying, they can be overtaken, they can be taken control of from the other side. Particularly the Chinese, they can take control of your system by hacking through your system. So those systems are available, and I think we are facing a problem every day, right?
Sir, my second question is regarding intelligence studies, establishing intelligence studies in the academic in the land of India. So, what are the benefits of intelligence studies? Hello,
Intelligence?
intelligence studies center, establishing intelligence studies center in the India.
Yeah,
So, what are the
unfortunately, in India, I was there in US. In their military, every fourth person serves in intelligence. The best officers and men. Because your entire warfare or control of the environment is based on intelligence. Your best man, the brilliant minds have to go into intelligence. Then goes to the operation and other and thereafter. In our case, possibly it is taken as a not as a very good हमारा ना system बड़ा, not only army I'm talking of, in the civil environment. अच्छा अच्छा तू खुफिया विभाग में काम करता है, you are always looked by suspicion. unfortunately, intelligence is not only about somebody wearing a hat, chasing somebody behind. Intelligence is so much about going on to this data, understanding what people are talking. That is also intelligence. Understanding what is happening, which government has come, where will it go. If Trump has come with his own set of people, how is he going to lean towards India and the world, rest of the world? Is also about intelligence. So there's a lot of intellectual stuff about intelligence. So that is why you require the best brain to work in intelligence. Unfortunately, it is not so, right? Unfortunately, India is not so. The day intelligence starts taking a lead, you'll find our country will start doing better. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
So
you, sir.
now we
Thank
have
you so much.
Madhurja. Madhurja, please ask the question.
Yes, Jai Hind. Jai
Hi,
Hind,
Jai.
sir. Greetings to all the panelists. It's a privilege to share the platform with such a distinguished and decorated military officer like you, sir. It was my utmost fortune that I got the opportunity to meet you in person in Chanakya Dialogue held last year, October, at Manekshaw Center, Delhi. So, as you talked about previously, about satellite reconnaissance and surveillance, as we are now in the modernization age, we are heading towards space-based intelligence also. So, my question will be, like, how will the convergence of AI and cloud computing and private sector
I think I've lost your voice.
landscape?
Yeah.
And what are the, sorry, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you said the private sector into AI, cloud computing, and others.
Yeah. How will the convergence of AI, cloud computing, and private sector innovation redefine the intelligence landscape, and what are the implications for national security, accountability, and demographic oversight? Democratic
So,
oversight.
I'll tell you, Madhurya, are you a patriot?
Yes, obviously, sir.
You are, huh? And I'm sure if I ask Nilesh, I'll ask Rahul, I'll ask Saptasva and various girls and boys who are sitting. A presumption in our mind that if I'm wearing a uniform, I'm the only guy who's patriot is flawed. A, a young boy like you, who's got his heart in right place, is also a patriot. So, can I train 100 people in army or in the armed forces to be a AI manager, to understand how data analytics works, how to manage quantum tech stuff? I don't think so it's possible, right? So therefore, it is somewhere important that we encourage people, young boys and girls who are coming out, and that is how world over, in the entire in US, UK, France, who are the lead countries in who have been leading the world for last about 100, 200 years. They don't invest only in the government servants; they invest into private individuals and entities. So if there is a firm which says that I am going to run the AI for you, we must, but we must sign watertight agreements. We must allow them to work and enable and empower us. So this trust factor, which remains that we only in uniform are true nationalists and patriots, is possibly incorrect. And therefore, this fear which everybody elicits, even in the uniform and in the government and outside, sir, वो क्या होगा जब ये बाहर वाले लोग आ जाएंगे? What is बाहर वाले लोग? तुम भी तो भारतीय हो ना? ठीक है? And we all have got value for money. I am also sellable, right? My price may be something different, and your price may be something different, and that is where we need to invest time to find out about those people who are who are good, who are patriots, who will work for the country, and who can't be compromised. But frankly, what I'm trying to establish here again, it is the private agencies, the corporates, where they can hire fire. We can't. When you know that your job is online, then Madhurya will ensure that he's constantly upgrading himself in the technological world to keep on performing for that entity to give it. But you imagine I invest 4 years in training to you to make you an officer. And thereafter, now I'm training you to the moment you get a government service, you say, yeah, maine kyun karna kaam? Then you're looking for other things. Then you're looking for promotion. Then you're looking. Plus, a tech guy has got a different mind. He is not like an infantry soldier or somebody or intelligence operator on the ground. A tech guy's mind works totally differently. So I must have to use a tech guy's brain who can grow hair, who can have a beard, who can have a ponytail, who can sit in shorts, who can sit in a garage and work for us. Rather than somebody who comes smartly dressed in tie and Jai insert salute. So हमारा टाइम तो उसी में निकल जाएगा. तुम्हारा टाइम तो 24 घंटे का काम है. The guy who's working, the geek works 24/7. He's passionate about it. But when it becomes a job per se, and that too safe and secure, you get sluggish. So I hope I have answered you this thing. So while we are getting into privatization in terms of satellite surveillance and everything, the only way possible is to reach out to the private world to do it for us rather than looking at the government. We should be into governance, not into managing it or running it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I got from your insights that accountability and credibility towards the national security is crucial and pivotal, irrespective of private sector, public sector, or government sector. Am I right, sir?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thank you very
I
much.
need 1 more minute from you. So where are we harnessing our talent or the officers who are doing MTech from the Army Institutes and the IITs?
Look, it looks very nice, right? So he's done MTech. But after MTech, we have got a system of an HR policy in which he needs to go to a field, he needs to go to a company, he needs to do an administrative job. But in technology, it doesn't work like this. In the tech world, I did my computer course in 1994, right? Okay. And I came back, I had done ADP, advanced data processing or something, I am forgetting the system and assistant programmer's course. And I went promptly to a Hilshood area where there was no light. Computer chhod do. Now I come back after 2 years. By that time, Pentium 3, you will not even know what Pentium 3 was. You were not even born when Pentium 3, Pentium 4, and Pentium 5 came about. Right? Pentium 3 had come. I did not know what it looks like, how to go onto the keyboard. And therefore, while I stayed for about a year or 2 years in a peace station, doing my physical exercise in the morning, run in the evening, doing human resource management, छुट्टी पार्टी देखना है, फायरिंग करने जाना है, tactical exercise की training करना है. How do you think that this MTech guy whom I have trained will remain? But he needs to come back to this world after doing MTech to ensure that he becomes a lieutenant colonel or a colonel or a brigadier. So there are aspirations. So I think there's a challenge possibly, and which I have been trying to recommend that if you tell your guy to do MTech for about 2 years, please ensure that he should write, I am not looking to become a brigadier general. I am a tech geek. And I'm now going to work sitting at Mao or in Delhi or in Pune or in a remote locality. Give me my gadgets. I'm the gadget man. Today's warfare is technologies of gadgets. Right? And I am talking, मैं तुम्हें बोल रहा हूँ जो किताब को ऐसे पढ़ता है, ठीक है? Right? I believe that if you don't transition what is today relevant, we will be left behind. We are already behind. Look at the Chinese here. They're not using, and if they're using uniform, this thing, there's a threat on the head. नहीं किया तो फार्म पे भेज दूंगा. हमारे यहाँ ऐसा सिस्टम नहीं किया और तुमको मैं प्रमोट नहीं करूंगा, आई विल गो टू द कोर्ट. काम भी नहीं करूंगा, तनख्वाह भी लूंगा और चलूंगा. So we are democracy. In democracy, things don't work in that manner.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time, sir. We like to conclude this session.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.